I missed you so much. Sorry about last week, but we have in-person interviews at my school for every single student that applies. That's thousands. And I did 5 full days, so that's 8 hours worth of interviews in 6 days. So I just had Thursday off. I interviewed on Saturday. And I miss you a lot, but I miss my writing more. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I hope you forgive me. But anyways, here we are, ready for another week, where I also have interviews, but only in the afternoon, so I have a full afternoon today. So I do get to spend some time with my favorite people ever. Okay? So, the question is, how many papers should you work on at the same time? And I will tell you what my rule is. My rule is you should work on, you should, to know what a number is the number of hours you write every day divided by 2 plus 1. Okay? Actually, wrong formula. I mean, the hours of writing you have every day plus 1. Why? Because my experience is that, you can roughly, need 2 hours per day to work on a paper, when you're really writing or revising or resubmitting, okay? So 2 hours a day, so if you have 4 hours a day, that means you're writing 4 papers. Now, what you want to do is you want to sequence these papers in a way that you have 2 papers always on the side of reviewers and 2 papers on your side. Okay? And this will be good because it imposes a rhythm even for first drafts, because you have the papers like in 4 to 6 months, right? So you know that even if you're writing the first draft and there's a deadline for submission, that you need to wrap the paper up before 6 months, or the first draft before 6 months, because then you'll get the reviews back and you'll have to work on that. Okay? So you should have 4 papers plus 1 that you work on. What is the plus 1? The plus 1 is that, sometimes a paper will be simpler, or will be in the later stages of the revise and resubmit, or, you'll be tired. Sometimes we talked about that in another video on how to manage your energy. You'll be tired sometimes and you need to work on something like coding or like finishing up. So that's the plus 1, okay? So if you write 4 hours a day, that's roughly what I do, 3 to 4 hours a day, you can work on 4 papers plus 1. Okay, and the plus 1 is something that is starting, that you're coding. So that every day you work 2 hours on each paper on average. I mean, some days you can work 3 plus 1 or 4 and 0, and then the other day you do 1 plus 3. But don't go over that very much. Okay. Now, to this you can add 2 more papers if you are heavily co-authoring on those papers. And by heavily co-authoring, I mean you're not doing a lot of the work on those papers. You're co-authoring, but not doing a lot of the work. So this is, not surprisingly, the exact rule that I follow. So you see in green are the papers that are out for review. In dark yellow are the papers that I'm working on now. Okay? And this paper here, this one on line 15, the mindfulness literature review, and this paper here, that I titled the Ericello literature review because I'm co-authoring somebody named Luisa Ericello. Those papers, I'm a co-author, but I'm not doing I'm doing like, I would say 20-30% of the work on those papers. So I have that capacity, okay? And I'm telling you, I can pull this off, but I really need, I cannot slack with this amount of papers, because, for example, my MSQ piece that I'm revising right now, as you've seen in some videos, including one where I deeply embarrass myself, is really tough. So I've almost been working full time for a month on that paper, and I just began like the good outlines today. Okay, so you need to be mindful about your capacity. Now, what if you're smarter than me? There are people who are smarter than me and need less time to work on papers. That, we talked about that, how to publish in top journals if you're not a genius. Well, if you're not a genius, you just need more time, right? So if you're smarter than me, you can pull this off more quickly, okay? So what I would suggest is start with this rule and then see if you have slack, if you have time, if you can pull off, 3+1 papers at a time. Maybe you can. I can't. I know I can't. I want to, I'll begin to miss revise and resubmit deadlines, and I'll have just too many papers at the same time. So I know I cannot do it, but maybe you can. So this is a little bit like what I was told when I started track driving. So driving a car on a circuit is, start by, start slower and gain speed as you gain confidence and as you learn the car. Okay, do the same thing here. Like start with this rule, like 4+1, or the number of writing hours the hours that you write every day +1, and then see if if you feel you have some slack, then try to push it a little harder. Obviously, this is for like really demanding papers, right? So I actually have like a really good publication career before I did my PhD, and I had some good papers, but most of them weren't, and they were in lower journals. They were quickly put out, and some of my co-authors of the time still have this strategy, which I think you're basically like reaching. You're playing this on easy mode. Okay, fine. It is enjoyable. There are some games that you can enjoy playing in easy mode, but that's not my thing. I hope it's not your thing too if you watch the channel. But some people have like 10 papers, 12 papers at the same time, and they'll be able to pull it off. Yes, I can pull that off too. I have pulled that off in the past. You just check my Google Scholar before 2006, and you'll see it. But but the quality of that work is not at the level of the quality of the work that I do today. Okay, so hopefully this was a nice rule of thumb. Again, the number of hours you write every day +1. The +1 should be a paper that you're starting, so coding, outlining, not even outlining, like coding, thinking about it, and so on. Something that is just in your pipeline for the future. So my +1 at this time is this paper that I'm co-authoring, but let's say it's a 50-50 co-authorship paper. But be mindful that for example, in my case, I don't think I can write more than 4, max 5 hours a day. That's my limit. I then maybe insecurity, maybe I'm tired, I don't know, but I so for me it'll be. Well, that'll be 10 papers. That's a lot, but I do think I could pull it off. I can pull this off with 3 hours a day, so 6 papers. So maybe, I don't know, if you do some smaller stuff, 10 sounds a lot, doesn't it? Again, this is like 5 on your side and 5 on the reviewer side. So I'll probably say that maybe 4 would be more realistic. But just so follow this rule of thumb. Start with 3 on your side, 3 on the reviewer side, +1 paper that you're beginning to work on, and see how it works, and then push it harder. Okay. Stay away from the temptation of writing a bunch of papers for smaller journals. This will severely limit your ability to move jobs. Severely limit your ability to move jobs. Okay. So be mindful of that. Other than that, I wish you all a wonderful day, and I'll check in back tomorrow. Have a great time, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Guys and girls, of course, and everybody in between. Okay.